when we listen to a voice that is not ours, we begin to think thoughts that are not our thoughts. In the process of critiquing, in this sense, we are able to critique our own thought processes. And that is the only way we grow as a community, as a social structure of people, of human beings, of intelligent beings. That's the only way we can grow. So if we shut out voices of reason, or we shut out other people who don't hold our belief systems, then as a people we are dead and we will never be able to grow. Welcome to Finding Doyin, and in this episode we'll be talking about cancel culture. I hope you stay to the end because it's going to be rough, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Doyin, and I like to talk about life. I like to think. I used to write. Many of you don't know that, but I think a lot about many stuff that have happened in my own life and how I can help people find themselves and do better, like on this journey that they are on. That's what this channel is basically about. I mean, we have some occasional gossips here and there, but today is not funny at all. And I just wanted to come speak on something that has been bothering me for a while. So I hope you're able to get some knowledge from this. Like I said before, if we don't subscribe to hearing other people's opinions, whether smart or not, then we'll never be able to grow as a community of people. We'll never become more intelligent because we've never been able to critique our own line of thoughts. So when you don't want to hear other people because they say something you're not comfortable with, it shows that you might not be ready to grow. And by not growing, you are dead. So today's episode is about cancel culture, like I said before. And I'm going to share some stories with you. And I hope you're able to get one or two things from these stories that I'm going to be sharing. The first story is a personal story. It's my story. The timeline is in 2019, thereabout 2019, 2018, if I'm right. I don't think I can remember properly, but I think 2019, thereabout. There was something going on Twitter, and you know how Twitter can be like very, very like messy. I think it's the most toxic place where people feel free to be their most toxic self. And there was a rage the time when like the whole Twitter feminism was raging on. And while I'm not a Twitter feminist, I do consider myself, by the definition of the dictionary, I do consider myself a feminist, a humanist if you put it that way, because I'm a Christian. I believe in the equality of everyone, black, white, male, female. And I believe under God, everyone is equal. And everyone should have equal opportunities and equal challenges. And everyone should be given equal respect. And in my day-to-day life, I try to lead that virtue right from when I knew myself. But that's not what today's topic is all about. So what happened? There was, you know how like when in Nigeria, if you grew up in Nigeria, when you go to the markets and people drag you, come and buy stuff from us. But definitely among the sheep, we have the wolves. And some of the men had been accused of like harassing women that used to go and buy stuff like at the market in the guise of telling them to come and buy wares. They were actually touching them inappropriately. And most of there was like a market match to address the particular situation at the time, just cause. And that happened. But then there was some videos where like some men were obviously very clueless about what was even going on. These guys, you could tell these guys just wanted to go home, make money for their family or for themselves, and just go back home and enjoy their life. And this, you could see some of the distraught in some of these men's faces when they came and they were accused of, oh, stop touching us and stop doing this to us. And there was this very man, I can never forget, he was so clueless and he was like, what have I done? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, he was so surprised at these ladies for doing this. And that video really struck me, and I was like, I don't think like these men wake up the next day and feel like, oh, we need to stop because of this. That's how I felt at the time. I was like, I don't feel like this is going to drive sustainable change. Because usually when you have some of these protests and some of this stuff, they don't drive sustainable change, especially in these days of the social media, when like it picks up steam online, and then after a while you can see like there's no sustainable change because people are not willing to go forward and do what it takes. But not to take away from the struggle, this then I commented about it that, oh, I don't feel like this is the right way to go. I don't feel like some of these people don't even have an idea what is going on. And then some people who did not agree with my opinion, there was some ladies that I went to high school, secondary school with, and they did agree with my opinion, which is good and fine. But then one of them threatened me. She was like, oh, like he's always been like this, you know, and that even like if you talk too much, something like along the lines of, if you talk too much, I'll tell everybody, like I'll say what you did in secondary school, and trying to silence me, or trying to guilt trip me into silence because she didn't agree with my line of thought. What makes me angry about that situation is the fact that I, at the time, was a victim of a system that I was not ready for. I'll talk about this sometime next year when I start to go deep in this YouTube channel. But I was a victim at the time. And this lady was threatening to bring something that happened 10, 12 years ago when I was like 13, 14. Threatening me with that, thinking that I'll be silenced and I won't speak on the issues at hand. This is what cancel culture is all about. When you don't extend the same grace that you want to be extended to you, you don't extend it to other people. To the extent that you're willing to blackmail a child, you're willing to blackmail an adult for a child's decisions. I'm not who I was 10 years ago, 12 years ago, but you're willing to go as far back as when you knew I had like faults, just so you could discredit me. That is wicked. And that's what we do. As a community of people, we just keep tearing each other down because we don't agree with what people are saying. Then we look for means to discredit them. You go as far back as you need to go just to make sure this person doesn't have a platform or this person is not able to speak. This is why this is very, very personal to me, because I feel like anytime I think about it, I used to have panic attacks. If I open my phone and I see like, oh, 10 notifications on Twitter, it doesn't matter like if I wrote an article and people liked it and people were retweeting it, I was going to have panic attacks because I felt like, oh my God, this lady is going to talk about this thing that I did and this thing that I'm ashamed of and this thing that happened a long time ago. And it's insane. It's insane. But that's what cancel culture is. That's my story, but that's not the only story that I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to share a story about a game with you. My brother played this game. Many people played this game, but this game, strangely enough, Dave Chappelle also played this game, and in his latest special, The Closer, he talks about it. It's called the Three-Card Monte. In Nigeria, we don't call it the Three-Card Monte. I don't even know what we call it in Nigeria. But it's a game where there are 3 cards on the table, and then you have to guess which is the red card. And they switch, the person playing the game switches around and tells you to guess. So in Dave Chappelle's story, he talks about how he had someone that was coming over to see him, like in New York. That was like a long time ago, when I think he was young that time, and he had only $60 to spend for the weekend. And so he steps out and he sees people, Three-Card Monte, they were playing the game, and he knew that if he won, he was going to be able to make some more money and take care of the guests that he was going to have. So he went into this game and he studied the whole game for a while. And he said, oh, he discovered that the red card was bent. It was a little bent at the tip. And he was like, oh my God, like, I don't think the person dealing, like the dealer, I don't think the dealer even knows that this card is bent. I'm going to win this money. And then he goes that he wants to play. He drops the entire $60 and the dealer starts to shuffle around. And when the dealer stops, he was like, pick the red card. And he was so sure that he said, this is the red card. And the dealer picks up the card and it's black. And he was surprised. He was like, how did that happen? Like, how was I so sure of the red card and I still didn't get it? And then he was amused. He thought it was magic or something. Then he sat back and he watched everyone. So there were people jubilating, there were some people jeering, all sorts of people in the audience. And if they've ever done this to you in Nigeria, you know that all those people, they're actually together with the dealer. It's one big team. Some of them in Nigeria, they even go as far as stealing your phone from your pocket in the midst of the whole commotion or something like that. So, but Dave Chappelle talks about how he saw that, oh, these people are all together and all of them are in on this game. And then one other guy comes to play and he was like, don't play, all these people are in on this shit. And the man grabs him and says, never come between a man and his meal. Because coming between a man and his meal is akin to killing him. Coming between a man and his bread and his paper and his money, you just killed that man. That is the second story. The third story is not really a story, but it's an example of when Adele did the Bantu knots on her head. And people came after her and were like, oh shit, why is she trying to do the Bantu knots? And why is she trying to appropriate like the African culture? And why is she trying to do this? And why is she trying to do that? That she's not supposed to put on the Bantu knots, that because it doesn't belong to her, it belongs to the Africans and belongs to this community. The fourth story is a story of Daphne Dorman. And if you haven't watched The Closer, which is Dave Chappelle's latest special, you should go and watch it. But like even before this, he spoke about Daphne Dorman shortly in a YouTube video called Unforgiven, where he talked about the industry and how the industry is a monster. But I won't go deep into it. But he talks about how this lady came to defend him, and she tried to defend him in the trans community, and they dragged this lady on Twitter, and a few weeks later or thereabouts, she killed herself. Now, he mentioned specifically, he's not saying, oh, she killed herself because of what these people did. But we'll never know. I guess we'll never know why she killed herself. But the truth remains, if you come between a man and his bread, it's akin to killing him. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. That's what I've been talking about today. Let me give you an example. Because some people will be like, oh yeah, for every action there needs to be a reaction. And if this person does this online, we're going to go to their job and we're going to make sure that they get them like laid off or they get them sacked from their job. Let me give you this example. Newton's first law says that for every action, there has to be a reaction, right? I have it here, like I can't remember the exact thing. I'm now in IT, I'm not more a science student. So Newton's first law says that an object will not change its motion unless a force acts upon it. So for every action, there's a reaction. But the reaction, it is necessary that the reaction that you get is equal and opposite to the action that was performed. But what we are doing in this day and age, in this community of people, is we're losing touch with empathy. I describe cancel culture as a group of bitter people not extending the grace they would like to be extended to them if they were in the same situation. If you were in the same situation, what you're doing right now, would you want it to be done to you, or would you want to be extended a level of grace and a level of Yeah, grace. Grace is the perfect word for it. Would you want that? What you're doing right now, would you want that to be done to you? They just finished a show on this Nigeria show, Big Brother Nigeria, and there's this lady that was in the show, Tega Clifford or something like that. And I think since she came out of the house, I think some days after she came out of the house, she had to deactivate her social media, and that's how they make money basically. But she had to deactivate her social media because of some stuff that she did in the house, and people were coming after her online and cyberbullying her, and she had to just deactivate. Hypocrites. Hypocrites. The same people cheating on their spouses, the same people cheating in their relationships, the same people who are not loyal, are the same people that are going online and dragging this lady for what she did in the house on camera. So it's very, very shocking, and it's very, very disgusting behavior when you try to cancel somebody because of something that they did, and you try to take their means of livelihood away from them. Because if you were in the same situation, you would not want that to be done to you. So yeah, back to my thoughts on actions and reactions. If a baby that was sucking at the mother's breast was to bite, because babies nibble a lot from what I've heard, if the baby was to bite the mother, that's an action, right? What is the reaction from the mom? What do you think should be the reaction from the mom? Should the mom inflict pain also on the baby, since the baby has inflicted pain on the mother? Or should the mom be smart enough or extend grace enough not to inflict pain on the baby? If the mom was to inflict pain on the baby, are you going to judge the mom? Are you going to say, oh God, you're wicked, why will you do that? This is just a baby, and this person didn't even know any better? Or are you going to say, yes, way to go, make sure, like, if the baby does this to you, then you have to cancel the baby, and you have to stab the baby, or you have to bite the baby back? What camp are you on? I know some of you say, oh, that's very, very simplistic. Or some of you say, oh, apples and oranges, but it's exactly the same thing. People who know better usually do better, and if people are not doing better, it's because they don't know any better. So when that lady tried to cancel me for something I did when I was 13 years old, just a child, I felt very, very disgusted and very, very enraged, because I didn't know better, and someone was going to try and use it against me now that I know better. But that's what people are going to do. People are going to try and discredit you for something you've done. And I'm going to close this episode. I think we're going to revisit this another time. I don't want this to be too long. I just want you to be able to think and just know that your line of thought is not the only thing that exists. I lost my line of thought, by the way, you see. Yeah, when the Me Too movement was happening, Dave Chappelle speaks about like a concept of some men in Hollywood were trying to stand up and join the Me Too movement and help like the ladies fight. But some of the ladies were like, oh no, you did this in 1998 or in 2003, you did this. You can't fight on our side. You're not holy enough to fight on our side. And most of these men that were willing to help at the time could not help, because they felt like, oh, I'm also a monster. I won't be able to prefer my help. I won't be able to prefer any solution. And in that way, the monster, which is the Hollywood industry, still stands. No conspiracy theories. I'm not going to go into, like, I don't even know what happens in that industry. Just gleaning from a little bit of what Dave said. But that's the thing, when you make people feel like, oh, you're not righteous enough, you're not good enough to fight this battle, you're not good enough to join us in this fight, people are not going to fight alongside you. And then there's never going to be a victory for us as the human race, as a people that wants growth, that want better for other people. I charge you today, stop canceling people, stop disagreeing with people online. You said something, they disagreed, and then you say, okay, I know where you work, I'm going to talk to the HR, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Extend the grace that you want extended to you. Disagree with people's lines of thought, but don't come between a man and his bread. I hope this video starts a conversation or continues the conversation that we've been having. And I hope that you do better today. It's been a minute I was on here, but thank you very much for those of you. I hope that you find this good enough to subscribe to. If this is your first time, I'm sad that we met on this note. I didn't welcome you at the beginning, I think. But if you watched up to this very moment, please subscribe, share, like this video, and I would like us to continue this conversation some other time. But thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great week ahead. Bye.